In 2026, a force no one can see, no one can fight, and no one will understand will rise. A blind woman, Baba Vanga, predicted it decades ago, and what she foresaw will shake nations, break systems, and test every human heart. The warning that couldn't be ignored. In 2026, so immense, so unseen, is poised to shake the very foundations of our world, that even the most powerful leaders want to know how to respond. It's not a natural disaster, not a war announced on the evening news, and not a sudden collapse of the markets. It's something far more subtle, far more dangerous, something that will touch the heart of humanity before anyone even realizes it's happening. And the warning didn't come from scientists, politicians, or think tanks. It came from a blind woman from Bulgaria, a woman whose name alone has haunted generations. Baba Vanga. Hello and welcome to Ancient Wisdom. Baba Vanga lost her sight as a child in a violent storm, yet what she gained was far beyond physical vision. She saw the world in ways most could never imagine, glimpsing events years, even decades before they unfolded. Entire nations, political upheavals, tragedies that shocked the globe, she described them all, often in eerie detail. And now, among the thousands of visions she left behind, one prophecy stands apart, sealed for decades, waiting for a world ready, or perhaps a world desperate enough to hear it. It speaks not just of events, but of a spiritual reckoning, a silent force creeping into everyday lives, a challenge to faith, morality, and the very choices we make. The world as we know it is on the verge of a shift, and the moment to wake up is closer than we think. If you want to uncover the secrets of Baba Vanga's S-126 prophecy and understand how it could change everything, subscribe to Ancient Wisdom now. Supporting the channel helps us continue to bring you the hidden truths and mysteries the world isn't ready to talk about. Why people feared her words. What makes Baba Vanga's story even more compelling is that she wasn't just a mystic or a fortune teller. She was a woman who lived in a small, remote village in Bulgaria, born into poverty, unknown to the world, and blind from a young age. Most would have assumed her life would be defined by darkness and silence. Yet what emerged from her blindness was a vision of the future so precise that it shook entire nations. People came from miles around, seeking guidance, desperate for answers she seemed to possess without explanation. She predicted accidents, political upheavals, deaths, and disasters, often specifying times, places, and names with an accuracy that seemed impossible. The fall of the Soviet Union, the Chernobyl disaster, the tragic death of Princess Diana, the attacks on September 11, the 2004 tsunami, the rise of ISIS, each event was foreseen years before the world even suspected it could happen. Her visions were never written for fame or profit. She refused to publish books or seek the spotlight, yet word of her abilities spread, drawing the attention of scientists, politicians, and even world leaders who sought her insight in secret. Many left shaken, some convinced of the weight of her gift, others fearful of the implications. They called her the Nostradamus of the Balkans. But for those who truly knew her, she was more than a prophet. She was a bridge between the seen and the unseen, a voice capable of revealing the hidden currents that shape history. It is this combination of humility, insight, and unwavering focus on truth that makes the prophecy for 2026 so chilling. Unlike other predictions, which she sometimes shared openly, this one was sealed, stored away for decades, guarded by those who understood the gravity of what she foresaw. Experts and followers alike sense that this particular vision was unlike any other, a moment when the world itself, not just individual nations, would be confronted with forces far beyond comprehension. The transition from her past visions to this sealed message marks a turning point. It is no longer about past events proven correct. It is about the threshold of a future that humanity must face awake and aware. This is not a prophecy meant to scare. It is a call to recognize the patterns of history, to understand the subtle warnings embedded in the world around us, and to prepare the spirit for the trials that will come. When the silence breaks. If her past visions proved her uncanny insight, the prophecy for 2026 takes it to an entirely different level, one that goes beyond political upheaval, disasters, or the fall of nations. It is a message carefully sealed for decades, a warning kept from the public, because the forces it described were not only unpredictable but subtle, creeping into the very habits, thoughts, and beliefs of humanity. While her earlier predictions were about events that could be observed and measured, this one is about the invisible, the quiet erosion of values, and the rise of a silent force she called the silent shadow. Baba Vanga's vision for 2026 begins with an extraordinary tone of seriousness, as if she had witnessed something too heavy to speak aloud. According to those who studied her writings and the sealed document, she described the world as entering a period where truth would be hard to find, deception would wear the mask of good, and people would be misled by false leaders. This is not a prophecy of war or fire. It is a prophecy of lies, confusion, and moral collapse. She warned that institutions once trusted, governments and systems people relied upon, would tremble under the weight of their own failure. The foundation of what was considered strong would weaken, while the voices of the forgotten would rise in unexpected places, challenging the status quo and demanding accountability in ways history has rarely seen. Nature itself, she predicted, would seem to rebel against humanity. The winds would speak louder than armies. The waters would climb where feet once walked. Storms would strike in regions once thought safe. And droughts would follow with cruel precision. But the most frightening aspect of her prophecy is that this crisis would not announce itself with sirens, explosions, or headlines. It would arrive in silence, in subtle shifts in perception, in the gradual replacement of faith with reliance on comfort, technology, or convenience. The human spirit, she warned, would be tested by the choices people make every day, whether to follow truth or accept illusions, whether to stand firm in faith or drift into moral indifference. Embedded within this warning were the symbols she left behind. A burning tree, a shattered clock, a circle of faceless people, and a small, enigmatic diagram showing a circle divided with 3 dots on one side and a cross on the other. Scholars interpret these symbols as representing the division of humanity from spiritual grounding, the fragility of time, and the necessity of reconnecting with faith and moral clarity to survive the coming upheaval. Each symbol reinforces the message that 2026 would not be about physical destruction alone. It would be a spiritual trial, an awakening for those who are prepared, and a warning to those who are blind to the consequences of their choices. Amid these warnings, Baba Vanga hinted at the emergence of a figure she called the shepherd. Unlike traditional leaders, this person would rise not from wealth, power, or political influence, but from humility, suffering, and experience with the struggles of ordinary people. The shepherd would not be immediately recognized, doubted, and even opposed. Yet through the global crisis, his or her voice would resonate with millions, guiding humanity not with force, but with clarity, truth, and moral courage. The prophecy suggests that salvation, or at least the preservation of what is most precious, will not come from armies or governments, but from individuals and communities who refuse to surrender their integrity, faith, and compassion. In essence, the 2026 prophecy is not a singular event, but a series of interlinked dominoes, cascading through politics, society, the environment, and human hearts. It challenges every person to confront the silent erosion of values, to recognize the shadow in everyday life, and to choose light over darkness in ways both small and profound. The message is clear. Those who remain passive, distracted, or cynical will be swept along, while those who awaken spiritually and morally will find strength, clarity, and purpose amid the chaos. This prophecy, unlike her earlier visions, is less about prediction and more about preparation. It demands awareness, discernment, and courage. It calls for a generation willing to see beyond appearances, to question what is presented as truth, and to act with compassion even when surrounded by uncertainty. It is a warning wrapped in symbolism, a challenge wrapped in faith, and a test of human character that the world has never faced on this scale before. The test of the human heart. While the warnings of 2026 reveal a world teetering on the edge of moral, spiritual, and social collapse, Baba Vanga's prophecy also carries a message of profound hope. The chaos she foresaw was not meant to paralyze, but to illuminate the choices that define humanity. Those who understand her words will see that survival is not measured by wealth, power, or influence, but by the courage to remain steadfast in faith, integrity, and compassion. The trials ahead are designed not to destroy, but to reveal who we truly are beneath the illusions of comfort and convenience. Baba Vanga described a small yet resilient group who would emerge from the storm like beacons of light. These individuals, grounded in truth and faith, would act as anchors for their families, communities, and even nations. She insisted that the future belongs not to those who chase control or dominance, but to those who nurture inner strength and guide others quietly but firmly. This spiritual resistance, as she envisioned it, would be the true force capable of countering the subtle, insidious threats of the silent shadow. Faith, courage, and moral clarity would become shields stronger than any army, and choices made in the hearts of ordinary people would ripple across the world. Among these signs of hope is the mysterious figure she referred to as the shepherd, a symbol of guidance, humility, and moral authority. The shepherd would rise from obscurity, not commanding through fear, but inspiring through example. Their strength would lie in empathy, experience, and unwavering dedication to what is just. In the midst of confusion, betrayal, and unseen threats, this leader would give people a model for living with purpose, showing that survival in 2026 is not just physical endurance but spiritual awakening. Ultimately, Baba Vanga's vision reminds us that the coming years are a test of choice. She warned that ignoring the signs or surrendering to apathy would leave many vulnerable to despair, disillusionment, and spiritual loss. Yet for those willing to remain vigilant, to act with wisdom, and to cultivate inner light, there is a promise, a renewal of society, communities built on trust and compassion, and a future where humanity, even scarred, can rise stronger than before. The prophecy is both a warning and a roadmap, revealing that in the quiet after the storm, the faithful, the courageous, and the morally grounded will lead the world into a new chapter. What comes after the storm? As we reflect on the hope and guidance Baba Vanga offered, it becomes clear that the ultimate lesson of her 2026's prophecy is not about predicting events, but about awakening. The warnings, symbols, and visions she left behind are a call to recognize the choices that define our humanity. The silent shadow, the upheavals, and the trials are not meant to instill fear, but to reveal the fragility of a world disconnected from truth, faith, and compassion. Those who remain passive or distracted risk losing not just security or comfort, but the essence of what it means to live with purpose. Her prophecy reminds us that every individual holds a part of the solution. Small acts of courage, steadfast faith, and moral clarity are the foundations of survival in a time when systems falter and illusions threaten to take hold. Families who stay united, communities who support each other, and individuals who nurture light within themselves will become the pillars that carry humanity through the storm. The shepherd, the symbol of quiet guidance and humility, shows that leadership and strength emerge not from power, but from the willingness to serve, to speak truth, and to stand unwavering in the face of chaos. Ultimately, Baba Vanga's message for 2026 is both a warning and a promise. The world may face disruption, deception, and unseen threats, but those who awaken spiritually, act with integrity, and protect what is eternal faith, love, and truth will endure. The silence will break, and when it does, the faithful will rise, guided by the light within themselves, rebuilding a world rooted not in fear, but in wisdom, compassion, and hope. Looking back at Baba Vanga's 2026 prophecy, what becomes clear is that her vision was never simply about predicting disasters or shocking events. It was a mirror held up to humanity, reflecting the fragile balance between faith, morality, and the choices we make every day. She warned that the greatest dangers often come silently, not with sirens or headlines, but through subtle erosion of values, moral compromise, and blind acceptance of convenience over truth. The silent shadow she described is already present in our lives in distractions, in the normalization of falsehoods, in the ease with which society can drift from compassion and integrity. Yet, within this warning lies a profound lesson. Survival, resilience, and true strength do not come from wealth, power, or fame. They come from cultivating the light within ourselves, from staying grounded in faith, truth, and empathy, and from making conscious, moral choices even when no one is watching. Baba Vanga's vision reminds us that small, deliberate acts protecting our families, nurturing communities, speaking truth, helping those in need can ripple outward to create enormous impact. Her symbol of the shepherd teaches us that leadership and guidance arise not from authority or control, but from humility, service, and courage. The prophecy is a call to awaken our hearts, to recognize our own responsibility in shaping the world, and to understand that the choices we make now determine the world we will inherit tomorrow. In practical terms, this means examining our daily lives. Are we prioritizing convenience over truth? Are we allowing fear, apathy, or distraction to dictate our decisions? Baba Vanga challenges us to resist the allure of comfort at the cost of integrity, to value compassion over convenience, and to nurture faith, hope, and love as active forces. By doing so, even amidst uncertainty and chaos, we can become a part of the spiritual resistance that ensures humanity endures with wisdom and grace. Now, I want to hear from you. In your view, what is the most important quality to cultivate to remain strong and grounded in today's world? Please leave your thoughts in the comments below so we can all share and learn from each other. And if you found this video meaningful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to support more content like this and help us continue exploring mysteries, insights, and lessons that guide us in life.